Hi, welcome to live stream yoga with Louise. Tips and cues to keep you safe and strong on the mat. Today's practice focuses on core control and stabilization when playing with transitioning patterns that require a subtle shift in your body weight. As always, play when you're comfortable, modify when you need to, rest when you need to. You ready? Let's hit the mat. We're going to begin today's practice coming into a Pilates V stand. Middle of the mat is a good place to be. We're going to find a long length through the spine and a small little 12 o'clock tilt through the pelvis, and we're going to float the arms out in front so that they're locked at shoulder height, palms looking down towards the mat. We're going to begin finding an alternating leg lift on the front, just floating one leg up and out. We're working at about mid-shin, and once you get the lifting pattern going, I want you to focus on your shoulders. Pretend that you've got a teacup on each shoulder, and you need to keep those teacups as still as possible so that they don't tumble to the ground. So as you transition and shift the weight from one side of the body to the other, try to keep your trunk as still as you can. One more to each side. Then relax the arms at your side and take it into a roll down pattern. Keeping that little Pilates V through the legs as you roll up and down through the spine, finding the connection to your belly center as you roll down and back up. Working with your breath. Rolling down evenly through the shoulders and not leading on your stronger side. Find a nice tall stand and float the arms out into T, palms looking down. This time we're going to draw one knee out as if we were trying to tap the knee to your arm line. Focus on those two cups on your shoulder blades. Focus on those shifting patterns with your body weight. Let's do one more to each side. Relax the arms at your side, big breath in, roll it down, checking that your fingertips are coming down evenly towards the mat and that one hand is not reaching for the floor before the other one is quite alongside. One more down and up. Then come to a nice tall stand and float the arms out in front again, palms down. This time we're going to do a leg lift behind us. And we're going to focus on those two teacups, one on each shoulder. So not throwing the body weight as you transition from the left to the right side of the body. Shifting that weight subtly. Let's do one more to each side. And relax the arms alongside the body and roll it down evenly, keeping that turnout position on both legs. Moving with your breath, finding your rhythm. Checking those hands as they come down to the mat. As you complete your last one and find your way back to a tall stand, square up your feet so that you're in parallel with your feet stacking directly behind your hips. We are going to float those arms out in front again, and we're going to find an alternating knee drive pattern, shifting the body weight right to left. Think of those teacups on your shoulders. You can think of this as a slow march. Relax the arms alongside your body and roll it down from parallel. Find your rhythm. One more, then we're going to come into a back lunge. So make sure that you've got enough runway behind you. We are going to float the arms out to the side or out to the front. So it depends on you. Think of those teacups. Keep them steady. Halfway. Come back to a parallel stand and roll it down. Feet maybe just inside of hip width distance apart. Comfortable parallel line through the legs. Bringing those fingertips down towards the floor at the same time and peeling up with the same amount of control. Stabilizing, controlling through the core as we move, as we shift with our patterns. Let's do one more, then we'll combine the last two movement patterns together. Find your tall parallel stand and float the arms out in front, thinking about those two teacups on your shoulders. You're going to pull the right knee up, then lunge it back, then pull it up again before regrounding, shifting to the second side. Lunge up, knee up, lunge back, knee up to ground. Keeping those two teacups as stable as you can. as you subtly shift the weight. Let's shoot for one more set on either side. Then relax your arms at your side and give me 5 more roll downs, peeling down and up with core control. You're going to use your next roll down pattern to find your way into a 4-point kneeling frame on the mat. Square up so that your hands are stacking directly underneath your shoulders, knees directly underneath your hips, feet directly behind your knees. We're going to work opposite arm and leg. Find a long tabletop line and assume a belly up position. Slide the right arm and the left leg out and up to table, and then paint your way back to your control line. Your control line, 2 hands alongside each other, 2 knees alongside each other, and then transition side to side. This time, you've got a tea tray that is balancing precariously on your back, so you need to stabilize through the entire line of the trunk. Think stable shoulders, stable pelvis. For this round, we're playing palm down the whole time, and our control line is being held. So we're stopping and we're not moving through the control line. Keep your gaze down on the mat. Keep your neck and your spinal line nice and long. Let's do one more set to either. Peel up into a nice tall kneel. Find a small 12 o'clock tilt through your pelvis and float the arms out in front so that your thumbs and your index fingers are touching, and lock that height at shoulder height. We're going to bend one elbow, tapping against the wall, and then transition to the second side. Think of those teacups, one on either shoulder. Keep those teacups as still as possible. Don't allow them to tumble to the floor. Last one. We're going to come back to our full 4-point kneeling frame on the mat. Check your hands, check your knees, check your feet. This time we're playing through the midline, and we're going to have a subtle rotation through the forearm. So we're going to do right arm, left leg, and we're beginning palm down as the hand and the leg slide out and up. Then rotate the palm in. We're going to do knee to elbow, tucking through the midline. Then stretch back out, palm rotating down to paint back to the mat, and then change sides. So find that controlled rotation through the forearm before you draw knee and elbow in towards the center line. paint your way back. Once you've got the pattern going, think about controlling through the shoulders and the pelvis to prevent your tea tray from crashing to the ground. Check that your hands and your knees arrive alongside each other as you complete your movement pattern. Let's do one more on either working side. Find your way back to your tall kneel, pressing into your feet, finding that 12 o'clock tilt, floating the arms out in front, fingertips touching. We're going to do a double tap with the elbow and then back, transitioning left to right. Keep that 12 o'clock tilt through your pelvis. Think of those teacups, one on either shoulder. Halfway. As you complete the last one, come back to 4-point kneeling, but we're going to change the leg line. Find your frame first, and then bring the two knees flush along the midline so that your knees feel like they're framing the line where your nose would be running down. All right, so we're going to start with a long neck and spine. We are going to do a little two-step out to the right, and then a two-step back to the middle. Then find your two-step to the second side. Keep your neckline long, don't drop your head. Taking a two-step out to one side, and then taking a two-step back to the center position. One more set. Remember this two-step, because the next time we come to it, we're going to add to the pattern. End in your narrow position, two knees squeezing together along the midline, and find your way back to your tall kneel. Find that 12 o'clock tilt through the pelvis and float the hands out in front, fingertips touching. We're going to open up both elbows together, squeeze past the control line, and back to start. So you're thinking of cracking a walnut between the two shoulder blades. Think of those teacups. So the shoulder blades drawing back and together to crack that walnut at the same time. Let's do one more. We're going to keep the legs squeezing together along the midline as we come back into a 4-point kneel on the mat. We're going to work an alternating hydrant, opening one knee out and squeezing back to center. Thinking of that fully laden tea tray on our back as we transition the pattern from the left to the right side of the body, subtly shifting the body weight with control through the core as we play with that lifting pattern through the legs. keeping the neck and the spine long and keeping the belly button pulled into center. Let's do one more to each side. Squeeze the legs together along the midline and find your way into that tall kneel, finding that 12 o'clock tilt and floating the arms out in front with a touch of your fingertips. Walnut crack with a double pulse. Squeezing the shoulder blades together and then opening up the space between the two shoulder blades. Thinking of those two teacups, one on either shoulder as we play with this pattern. Last one. Find your way back to your modified 4-point kneel with those legs still squeezing together along the midline. We're going to clip the last two movement patterns together. So we're going to do a little two-step out to the right, and then a hydrant, and a two-step back to the middle. Two-step to the left, hydrant to the left, two-step back to the middle. Find the pattern, work with control. Keep your neckline nice and long. Think of that tea tray that's still on your mid-back. Last one. As you find your way back to the middle, we're going to do a little flip on the mat and we're going to set ourselves up for some side work. Modified clam line is the setup frame that you can think of. We're going to try to work with a high elbow position on the mat without collapsing, so coming out through the shoulder, rib cage up nice and high. If this becomes too much for your bottom shoulder, you can drop down and give me a lower to the mat position, propping and resting your head in your hands. All right, so find your frame. We're going to think heels on the same axis as the spine, and we're going to start by just finding a basic femur lift, keeping belly to spine. Lifting up to about hip height. Hold your necks open. Then keep the bottom leg bent, extend the top leg, relax it down to the mat, slide all the way down on the bottom arm and take a delicious overhead stretch. Stretching your one leg and the two arms. Bleed your way back into your clam setup. We're going to femur lift to lock that height in. This is our start line. We're going to pull the knee towards the nose and back to our start line. Keeping belly to spine. End in the knee to nose position, hold it. Then extend the leg to relax down to the mat. Find your way down for a delicious overhead stretch. Find your way back to your basic clam frame. Female lift to lock the height in. This time we're working behind the hip line and back to your control. So control is with the two knees hovering one over the other. End in the leg pull behind, hold it, feel your glute, feel your hip flexor. Bring it back down, extend the top leg, bring it all the way down, take that delicious little stretch. Set up your basic clam frame. We're going to female lift to find our height. We're going to work behind the hip line. That's our start line. And all we're going to do is we're going to extend and bend. Bring the leg down. Bring your whole body line down and take that little delicious stretch. Now we're going to fashion ourselves a combination, a little symphony of all of the movements we were playing with before from the clam line. Set up your basic frame. You're going to give me a lift, and this is going to be your start position with the two knees hovering one over the other. We're going to do a knee pull front, a knee pull all the way back behind the hip line. Keep it there. Extend the leg, bend the leg, and pull it all the way front to begin again. Shooting for roughly 10 repeats. Once you've done 10, you're going to find your way down to the mat for your last delicious little stretch. Then you're going to roll onto your back, you're going to bend your knees, you're going to ground your feet. So think of this as just a basic bridge-like setup. Arms are relaxed at our side. We're going to start to play with a modified one-sided dead bug. We'll play right leg first, so only the right leg is going to be playing on this. We're going to start in neutral. We're going to think of finding an echo of a 12 o'clock tilted imprint to pull the right knee up. We're going to press and resist with both hands. Then we're going to drop the hands to the floor. We're going to extend the leg and we're going to hover it just off the floor before we pull back up to press and resist. Keep playing right. And then once you've got the basic pattern going, think about trying to press the weight of your shoulders and your whole back line into the mat equally so it doesn't feel like you're favoring your right shoulder or the right side of your body. So control as you play with that little pattern. Keeping head and shoulders on the mat throughout. Hold your legs, press for 10. Keep the weight of your back pressing equally into the mat. Don't shift your body weight. Then release to neutral and let's begin to play left. Think of your body weight. Find your shoulders. Think about how you're pressing yourself into the mat. Hold your legs, press. Think of your weight. Reground to the mat and give yourself at least 3 recovery breaths. Our next control line is going to be with the legs floating in a tabletop position. So from neutral, find your small 12 o'clock tilt, pull the legs into the tabletop position. We're going to find an alternating pattern for this one. So we're going to do single leg stretch on the right, then drop the leg shy of the floor and pull back to table, and then play left. Single stretch, drop, table. Single stretch, drop, table. Begin to find an alternating pattern, and once you've got the pattern going, think about how you're pressing your body into the mat. Shoulders, whole back line, equally favored. Long reaching toe as you stretch to drop and draw back. Let's do 2 more sets. From here, we're going to find a combination of a rocker and an L lean forward. So we're going to brace our hands behind the thighs, feet and knees about hip width distance apart. We're going to think hollow belly, rounded back to rock up once. Just check your runway the first time. We're going to extend the legs, doing an L lean forward, thinking spine stretch line through the spine. And then we're going to keep that line as we tap the hands equally 3 times to the mat. Then draw your legs back up, 1 rocker, L lean spine stretch hybrid with tapping arms for 3. And we're shooting for just roughly 5 repeats. Last one, then we're going to change our orientation on the mat. We're going to swivel to find a straddle line on the mat. That straddle can be as wide or as narrow as you like. And we're going to play middle, side, middle, side, middle, side, middle, side, middle. All right. So we're going to start in the center, and we've got a small 12 o'clock tilt through the pelvis. Legs are long with an active brace into the feet. We're going to do a reach and a mini fold forward and back to center. So it's more of a spine stretch, lean, 1 to the middle, 1 to the side. So you're thinking long, stretchy back line as you give me an almost L lean to the front and then an L lean slightly off center, if that makes sense. Hold your last one. Find your way back to a tall seat, and then let's flip over to find our side work. Finding your clam-like setup. We're going to femur lift for 10. Hold your next lift. Knees one over the other. Close, extend the top leg, bring it down, find your delicious little overhead stretch. Stretching the entire line of the trunk, releasing the shoulders. Back to our clam setup. Find your lift. Start with the two knees one over the other. That's your control line. You're going to knee pull front and back to control. Think of balancing a teacup on the outside of your working knee. And in the knee draw, hold it. All the way back and down. Find that delicious little stretch on the mat. Find your setup frame. Lift. Control line. Two knees one over the other. We're going to do a pull behind the control line and back. Controlling through the core. Hold your next back pull. Find your way back down to take that delicious little stretch on the mat. Back to your clam setup. All right, our control line is going to shift this time. So find your lift and then give me a leg pull back. That's your control line. So now the knees are not hovering over one another. Lock that top leg in and all you're going to do is extend and bend. Think of that tea tray balancing on the outside of your top leg. And with the leg extended, hold it. Bring that leg down. Take your delicious little stretch. Then let's combine all of those movements together as we come to our modified clam setup one last time. So we're going to find the lift. We're going to find our control line, knees one over the other. You're going to pull forwards, all the way backwards. Keep that back, extend, bend, and then pull all the way through control to repeat the pattern. Shoot for 10 repeats. Last one. We're going to find our way down to the mat one last time for that little delicious stretch on the side. And then when you're ready, you're going to roll over onto your back and you're going to set up your modified one-sided dead bug. We're going to play left side first. Arms start relaxed at your side. You're going to pull the left knee into the table. You're going to press and resist with both hands. Relax your hands to the mat as you stretch the leg out and drop it shy of the floor to pull back into table and press. Once you've got the pattern going, think of trying to press the weight of your back into the mat equally on the left and the right side of the spine. Hold your next press. Keep the weight in your back equal. Back to neutral, take a breath. Let's start to play right. Think of what you're doing with your body weight. Readjust, control through the core. Hold the next one. Reground to the mat. This time, our control line is going to be with the legs in the tabletop position. From neutral, find an echo over tilt to draw your legs into table. We're going to single leg stretch to drop and draw back to table, finding an alternating shifting pattern left to right. Focusing on keeping the weight of our shoulders, the weight of our back line, pressing equally into the mat throughout. So as you transition from the one side of the body to the other, you're controlling, you're tempering through the core. Last one. Prepare for your rocker L-lean tap. Rock up. Check your runway. You're going to give me an L-lean forward. Hold the spine stretch and tap 3 times. Rocker L-lean with a little spine stretch. Tap 3 times. Let's do 2 more. Once you've completed your last one, change your orientation on the mat and set up your straddle run. Middle, side, side. So L-lean and reach front. 1 to the side. Back to the middle. Find your pattern. Hold the next one to the middle, almost framing your ears, pressing into your feet. Back to a nice tall seat. Bring the arms alongside your body. Big breath into angel wing up. Thinking soft steeple. Exhale to angel wing down. Twice more. Ending in your straddle line, arms relaxed at your side. Nod your chin to your chest. Thank you for playing patterns with me today. Till next time, keep it light.